Are you ready?
Ooh.
Careful not to lock the door.
I'm trying to write it.
Sorry.
Sorry if I misspelled your name.
Okay.
I really hope this gets on the camera.
Okay. Have you ever heard the story of the old empty barn?
No.
Would you like to hear the story
Yes.
of the old empty barn?
Yes.
Okay. The old empty barn. There was nothing in it. So, that is my absolutely. I'll turn the lights back on. Make it less scary. That was my absolutely favourite ghost story. And it's also quite funny. And you kind of see that. That was my absolute favourite ghost story. I've stolen it off Dad's army. I love it. I definitely recommend going out. But today I'm going to talk to you about ghosts. Okay? So, I personally don't believe in ghosts. However, I find them fascinating just because I think that most cases of ghosts are going to be fake. There's going to be a rational explanation for it, or something along those lines. But then there's just that one, every now and then, where there's just that little pang of mystery. However, I am not the first person to think about ghosts in my family. This is one of my relatives somewhere far, far, far away, and this is another of my relatives. The lady in the background is called Miss Longcake, and the lady who is the ghost is her sister-in-law. And just out of interest, this is taken by the same spookologist person that worked with the guy that wrote Sherlock Holmes. And the thing with ghosts is that there's a lot of different types. I mean, this is, as much as I'd like to say it's real, but it's going to be a fake, because with these cameras it's so easy to fake. You just take the plate out, don't clean it properly, and then you put it back in, and it sort of reproduces faintly the last picture that was taken on, which is how pictures like this come about, and is generally how you know that they're fake. However, really bad picture. This is probably the most common type of ghost. This little thing here, that little thing up there, and that there, and possibly that there. And these are called orbs. And orbs are thought to be little tiny manifestations of spirits. Nobody really knows how they're about, but they're just there. But ghosts take many other forms. There's been reports of rods, just like tall spires of just a mist. And there's also been reports of actual figures bursting through the door. And then just occasionally, there's just that one thing that will just move, and nobody sees anything. Now, most countries, most cultures, most religions, most even towns have their own ghost stories. My own village has a ghost, well, not really a ghost story, it's more of a witch's story, but if you recite the name around the grave 3 times, she'll come around and kill you. But most people believe that ghosts, through one way or another, come from a violent death. A really, really violent death, such as burning at the stake, or they were murdered or killed, or they died unjustly, or they placed a curse because they didn't like the person and they were coming back to haunt them. But most people believe that they come from violent deaths. Now, does anybody know where this is? I'll give you 3 guesses. Anyone?
Is it Stoke?
No. It's on ghosts. Come on. No. It is the Tower of London. Apparently the most haunted place in Britain, which rivals Bristol, obviously, because it was a slave port. It was built on slaves, it was built on tobacco. This university, the Wills family, made their fortune on tobacco. But this is the Tower of London. And through its very, very long history, it's been used as a prison, it's been used as a fort, hence the arrow slots, and it's even been used as a menagerie, hence why there's meant to be a ghost bear there. But is famous for ghosts because it's been the site of many murders and many, many people have spent their last night on Earth locked in one of the cells. And this was taken a few years back. It's a video, this is just a still from it. And these doors here, I'm sorry for the slight angle, over 3 days, on the first day, which was taken on the second, on the first day the doors just flew open with no explanation. On the second day, they saw this phantom figure actually open them and then close them. And then on the third day, there was no figure. The doors just flung themselves open. Oh, sorry. But the most famous ghost, possibly in the tower, but in also a few other places because she's gone around a bit, is Anne Boleyn. Now, if you remember the mnemonic, she was the second wife of Henry VIII, and she was beheaded just because she had a daughter, and Henry wanted a son. Now, if that's not unjust and sexist, then I don't know what is. But there are many apparitions of Anne Boleyn dotted around the country. Most are in either her home palace, where she lived, or in the Tower of London, where she was held until she died. Some of these apparitions are her walking around with a head tucked beneath her arm. Not sure if you'll get the reference. Stanley Holloway, by the way. And other places, you can see her being dragged, screaming across the floor to the executioner. And in other places, you can actually see her running around the court, being chased by an axe-wielding other ghost. Now, all of these are separate instances. However, one fine day back in the 1800s sometime, there was an instance where somebody saw Anne Boleyn. And now everybody knows that ghosts aren't real. However, sometimes science and opinion, but not necessarily opinion, just fear and unknowing, can sometimes mix. Now, there was a case back in 1800 and something where there was one guard standing at watch at the tower who was approached by a headless woman, namely, they think, Anne Boleyn. He raised his bayonet and challenged her, just like a good soldier he was. But he then stabbed her, did absolutely nothing, and she came forward and he fainted. He was then pressed on deserting his post or being asleep or drunk on his post. However, he was acquitted due to strangely happenings corroborated by other soldiers. Now, I don't believe in ghosts. Other people do. It's not for me to say which they are. I just don't think that there is any. However, I have never had a ghostly experience, so I can't say any other. Clearly this one's fake. Alright, thank you very much.
Brief time for some feedback from the audience, and you know, a good point and a point to improve on.
Can we bring the light on, by the way?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just press, should be one? Yeah. Okay, Billy.
We had a really good pace, throwing a good use of pauses and good use of flow and that sort of thing. We had a few ums and ahs in there,
Yeah.
which you just tightened up a little bit overall. It's great.
Anyone else? Do you want like to give audience feedback or?
I mean,
Well,
yeah, that's
give feedback.
You want to go to the audience first? Or?
Yeah, that's the point.
Okay.
Anyone else in the audience have feedback? Ed.
Yeah, I reiterate the point about good use of pauses, and it was really nice and delivered. The only thing I'd say is, could you just look at the audience for a little bit longer, each bit, because you sort of went around a bit with your eyes. It'd be nice if you just looked straight at the group for a little while.
Okay.
Anyone else have any points? Okay, we'll move on to committee feedback. Alex, you had points to make? Oh, did you have a point to make to feedback? Fair enough.
I like the manner sorry, I don't remember. It was not too speed and not too
At the right
slow.
pace.
Yes, and I found that sometimes you made like some breaks, but they were good. And yes, and I understood more than your visual speeches, or maybe just me who improves myself, or it's maybe also the topic, but I think it's also because of, or thanks to the way you're spoken, and for me it was clear.
Okay. Got some feedback from the committee. Who would like to? Anyone like to?
And how many good points, how many points for improving people?
How about 1 to 1? Let's just go
So
with
we
that.
do 1 for 1 now?
Yeah.
Tell him it's rubbish. Nigel.
No, I thought it was a really good speech. I've definitely seen improvement throughout the year. And what I did like about it is when you did use the stage effectively. For example, when I like the pace, I like all the delivery of that you mentioned, but I did like, when you were like going from one side of the stage to the other. But one thing you could have improved on that is that when you were standing still in one spot, you didn't actually stand still. You were kind of like walking about on the spot. Yeah, so just try and like be more grounded. And when you're like using the stage, try just to stay in one position for 1 point, and then if you want to go to a different point, use the one like when you were what the exact thing was you were making when you went from one side of the stage, that was really good.
Okay.
Yeah, but then when you stood still, you weren't standing still, you were moving on the spot.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any other point to make?
I just thought it was really good. I thought just the timing and the pauses and everything. It was like, you're ridiculous, Nigel, but that was good. So like, fantastic. But I was a bit confused because it kind of worked. It was kind of funny. But you were like, and then this happened with ghosts and all this, and then you were like, but I don't believe in ghosts. But then this happened, and I believe in this, and then, but I don't believe in ghosts.
Okay.
It was just odd, but worked. So.
I suppose one final thing to mention of it, I thought the introduction worked really well. It was a nice kind of light way to start off and lean nicely into the material. One thing I would say is, you kind of bothered me, you left your hand in your pockets quite a lot when you weren't using it. And that distracted me. Yeah, it's not, you don't want to do that when you're speaking. It looks kind of, it looks, you need to look as if, you need to look kind of authoritative, even if you're talking about something really light. So if you aren't making a specific gesture, waving your arms around, just kind of keep your arm by your side.
Okay.
Just kind of, because if you kind of leave it in your pockets, it looks kind of casual, like you're not really getting into it. But other than that, I think that was an excellent speech. Okay, so we have one more round of applause from Nigel.